What's the last thing you searched for on Google? How did you decide that the answer you found was credible? Searching for sources on the internet can be challenging, with so many results available. When you search Google or other search engines, the most popular sources will show up in the top results based on clicks, search engine optimization that is done by the sites themselves to increase their visibility, or they can be based on the results relationship to your search terms. If Wikipedia has an entry, that might be a good place to review background information on your topic, but not necessarily to cite as a source. You can look for sources you know and trust, like the Wall Street Journal or Harvard Business Review magazine. You may also see some news, videos, and articles that should be individually evaluated. So how do you pick the best ones for your needs? For many of your assignments, you will be asked to select sources that are credible and trustworthy. These sources provide high-quality information with references, and we can believe that they are true. Let's look at some criteria to help us select these valuable sources. Of course, the first thing you should look at is whether a title is relevant to your topic. The next thing to look at would be the author and the publisher. If you're looking at a news article, the reputation and standards of the news organization can tell you a lot about the credibility of the author of each article themselves. The About page of the source can give you some information, such as a news source's journalistic standards. If you're looking at a personal blog and the author is solely responsible for the content, you'll want to investigate that person's expertise in that topic. You may also see blog posts on company websites, which should be viewed as opinion pieces, even if the organization is trustworthy. In addition, evaluating sources may not happen in that single window, and you can't solely rely on the About page. You may need to open a new tab and take a few minutes to gather information about the website or author you're looking at. Start a new tab to look for articles about their practices, and read their Wikipedia entry if one is available. This can provide some background information that may show ownership details, political leanings, and history. The second factor to check for is the date. How current is the information? If you're writing an article about current biases and algorithms, a report on the early days of Facebook will provide context for how things have changed, but may not provide the most up-to-date information, such as a report like this from 2019. The third factor is audience. As sources are created, writers are also considering the audience that will be reading the information. As you select a source, consider whether it was written for the general public, researchers, students, or educators, so sources like government data or scholarly articles, or certain groups like specific professions or groups brought together by beliefs or ideas. Determining the audience helps you to decide if the source works for your needs. For example, if you're writing a professional report for your boss, you may want to find sources within your profession and not something written for the general public. The fourth factor is references. Credible sources will also include references to cite where they gathered facts from. News articles may quote and cite sources within an article text, while other articles might include a list at the end. The last factor is perspective and purpose. The content of the source is important. What is their perspective or purpose for writing? Are they trying to sell you something, teach you something, or report on something new? And be on the lookout for bias, which is an unfair representation of the facts or obvious favoring of a certain group, view, or perspective. This is a press release from Facebook about their expanding artificial intelligence research, but coming directly from the company itself may not be the most objective source. And there may be assignments where using opinion or commentary sources is fine or even encouraged. In your writing, you should always note if you are using a source that is considered an opinion piece. And you may be okay with bias in your own information searching, if you can identify it and account for it in your analysis. All of these factors together can help provide a clearer picture of the credibility of a source. The more you practice this process, you will become familiar with more information types and move a bit more quickly through evaluating information, because information literacy is a lifelong process. And if you ever need help evaluating a source, ask a librarian.